thought I'd just do a little video about my trip to the Boeing factory. I rode up there a few days ago from when I was in Seattle, and it's a place called Everett, and at that facility they make 3 aircraft. They make the 747, the 777 and the 787 Dreamliner, and it was very interesting to see the complexity of what they go through to build these aircraft. So I say it costs $20 to do the tour. You just turn up, you can pre-book it, but it's not a great deal to do there. There was a sort of exhibition to sort of technologies, modern technologies, electric aircraft and things like that, and there's a big shop there and a canteen, but the tour itself takes about an hour and a half. You have a little film before you go in, and then you go out on this tour. Now, we were lucky we had this guy called Christopher, who was the tour guide. He had these massive chops on the side of his face, these sideburns, and he had like a straw boater hat on, and he was a cross between Jack Black and Nathan Lane. But he was telling us the sort of statistics of this site. He said there was 43,000 people work at Everett across all the shifts. They have 20 canteens, restaurants. They have 9 creches. They have an on-site hospital. They have their own bus service. They have over 1,600 bicycles to move people about, and it's just ginormous. When I was there, I went up on a veranda that you're allowed to go on and overlook the airfield, and I counted around 35 completed aircraft in various colours of different airlines. And basically they were waiting for their airline crews to come and take them away and test them. So obviously their planes are built, they're finished, and then the Boeing crew test pilots run them and see they're all okay, and then the airlines come in with their crews and do another test to make sure they all meet the standards, and then they fly them out. And it's great to be there when they're doing this, because you see them running up the runway, checking the brakes, and then they turn around and fly off. But if you're like me and you're a bit technical minded and you like that sort of thing, it's sort of a bit of a Sado's paradise, really. But even not, if you're not technically minded, it's worth going to see, because the tour of the factory is pretty spectacular. You bust everywhere. No cameras are allowed, no mobile phones are allowed. You have to leave everything before you go onto that tour bus, and they check you as well. So anyway, you go along, you go through like the tunnels underneath the buildings, and you go up and down on the freight elevators. When you see where they make these aircraft, it's just crazy. You sort of peer over this in the viewing areas, and you sort of, I don't know how far up, 6 or 7 floors, and you can see where they're making the front end parts of 747s and piecing them together, and when they're done they get moved to the final assembly shop. And when you look over into the final assembly area, you just you just can't comprehend how big it is. You've got 2 fully built 747s being finished at one end, so they're having the interiors put in, the seats and the TVs and everything like that, and the toilets and the carpets, and there's 2 at all times being finished like that. And then there's 2 747s being put together, literally being put together and riveted together, and having the wings put on and the engines put on. And there's also 2 just the fuselages of the aircraft, half the fuselage of the aircraft being wired up and preparing for the next stage. And they say that it takes 4 months to build a 747 from start to finish, and they start at $315 million each, depending on spec. So from there we went round to where they build the Dreamliner, and the Dreamliner is built in a different way. It's built more like in a car factory, where it's continuously moving. You've seen the pictures of cars being moved and people bolt things on. They do that there, but obviously on a slightly slower scale. But they build a Dreamliner every 3 days, and that is just crazy when you see a fully laden, complete aircraft done in 3 days. And that's not just completed as in, okay, we now then have to put the interior in. That is turnkey out onto the runway, and it will fly. They start at $220 million a piece. It's a lot of money, but but for 3 days it's just crazy. So from there, they say the plane's going to be painted, and then they say they're finally picked up by their by their new owners. Now the problem is, like I said before, there's no photographs. Now, as people know, that I'm quite handy with a pen, and I'm quite a good artist, and I sort of spent a couple of days here sort of drawing and sort of doing some rendering for you guys, and I sort of did it in the style of what you see in a courtroom on the TV, because obviously they can't have cameras in either. So I've just done a sort of bit like a sort of using chalks, but I've only got limited sort of pens here. So I've done some drawings, and I think you're going to be very impressed with what I've done. I think I've really captured what the interior of that factory looked like in the perspective, because that's the thing. It's like, it's so big, it's crazy. So here's a drawing I've done for you. Now obviously Boeing's motto is makey, makey, planey, planey, and this is all of us coming off the tour bus, as you can see. Waiting for Christopher to take us about, and this is the 747 being completed. This guy's just sort of wandering around with a paintbrush. This guy's got a bucket. This other plane down here is just hovering. This guy's just carrying like a lamp, as you would get on a table, and this guy's just hosing stuff off. Now I've signed this one, as you can see, so I'm going to give this away as a prize if anybody wants it, but I'm also going to make some copies, and I'm going to sell them for £150,000 a piece. So if you want one, obviously get in touch, but the first one I give away for free. I'll think of a question to give it away. Like I say, if you're going to go and do the tour, I recommend it. But obviously, if not, if you've seen this, it gives you the perfect idea of what's going on in that factory. But like I say, it is worth going to see for $20 and a drive out of Seattle for an hour. It is worth going to see. So I hope you enjoy the little info film that I've done. If you've got any questions, get in touch. If you want to win this, well, think of a prize question, and then obviously if you want to spend £150,000 on one of these copies, then I'll gladly take your checks. So until my next video, I hope you're all okay, and I'll see you soon.